Hello again and welcome, my friends. We are back in the living room. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Dan. I'm your host, and this is the Living Room Guitarist. This is a place where we can get together and share ideas back and forth and inspire each other, not for celebrity, not for profits, but because we enjoy playing this instrument. So get out your six string, get out your axe, whatever you got, 12 string, acoustic, electric, even if you play the bass, whatever. We can kind of help one another in our creative processes, give your music life, and we're just hanging out with our tribe here in the living room. So we have a guest this week on the show, and I'm going to split the screen here on my little Zoom view. And here we go. And let's welcome Gary to the show. Gary, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, Dan, it's a pleasure to be here. Been looking forward to it.
Now you've been a guitar player for quite a long while there. So talk about a little bit about your journey. We've all been on short-term or long-term journeys playing this instrument and had this kind of a ongoing relationship with this thing. Tell us a little bit about what got you started in this and what's kept you inspired to keep playing and creating all this time.
Well, it's all my cousin Debbie's fault.
Okay,
She
Debbie.
was Debbie. Yeah, she was the first person that I ever saw play a chord on a guitar. And I said, I want to know how to do that.
Mhm.
So she showed me a couple of chords, and that changed the direction of my life forever. I was hooked at that point. Now, that was 1960, and I was encouraged by my parents. My father was not a big fan at all of the music I was listening to, but he said, "Okay, I'll get you an electric guitar, but until you learn three songs, I'm not getting you an amp." Okay, well, then I did. I played them for him, not that he would have known I played them right or not. And he went out and promptly bought me a bass amp.
Oops.
Who knew? I didn't. It made the guitar louder. That's all I cared about. Um, and then from there, it was just playing with neighborhood guys and guys in schools. This was the pre everything where there was nobody teaching this stuff. So we all taught each other. And it was literally like the stories you hear about some guy on the other side of town knew how to play a certain song, so we all rode over there and he would show us how to play it. And then there was a lot of really good local bands in the Baltimore area back then, and every single one of the players that was in those bands was always more than happy to help. If you went up on one of the breaks at a school dance or something and said, "Can you show me how to play that?" I never had anybody ever say anything but, "Yeah, sure, come on over here."
That's
Uh,
great.
and played in bands all the way through first couple years of college. And my first real band was a nine-piece band with a full horn section, male and female vocalists, and we did everything Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Sly and the Family Stone. It was great. At that point, though, I had transitioned over to the bass because in Baltimore at that time there was about 1.7 million guitar players
Mm.
and four bass players. And one of them was a friend of mine. He said, "You want to work?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Get a bass." He didn't even say learn how to play it. He said, "Just get
That
one."
comes later, yeah.
Yeah, just get one and your phone will start to ring. Well, he was right. And I got this completely bowed neck Japanese Ibanez that somebody had stripped and painted it with a paintbrush, and it had three strings out of the four on it. But it was a bass. Couldn't play it above the fifth fret, but it was a bass. And within a period of a week, I got a phone call saying, "Hey, are you busy Friday night? Can you come and play?" So I learned every note within the first five frets and went out to this thing, and it turned out to be that nine-piece horn band. And they handed me a Chicago 2 music book and said, "Start on page 3." And I thought, well, this is what you get for telling everybody you could play when you really can't.
Mm.
But I just looked at the chord blocks, and where it said C, I played a C. And where it said G, I played a G. And I had this little tiny Fender Bassman amp, and it was going. behind me trying to keep up. And at the end of the gig, they said, "That's cool. You want to join?" Okay.
And the rest is history. Wow.
And that was it. From there, it just led to many, many bands. I went on the road after a couple semesters of college, and didn't come back for 6 years, playing 6 nights a week, 6 hours a night, all over the country. And it was the most incredible musical education a player could have,
Yeah.
because we were a traveling human jukebox. So we had to learn everything, every style, whatever was popular is what we had to play.
Boy,
And it was
talk
just,
about cutting your teeth. Wow.
oh, it was just great. I mean, I learned how to play everything.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. So these days, when you're just kind of hanging out in the living room in a place like this, what do you like to play? What would you like to present for us today, for our fellow living roomers to maybe learn and be inspired by? And
Well, I teach, and one of the things that from electric guitar players that I get the most requests on is, how do I use effects? How do I get that sound? How did that player get that sound?
well, yeah, because we hear a lot of bands out there and a lot of players, and they make these big stadium rock sounds, and they can make just simple chords sound just enormous and all kinds of things. And I thought, well, you're hearing they're playing their guitars, but they're just going through all kinds of different effects. So yeah, take us through something here. Let's see how we can maybe enhance our playing, with this gear. How can we take something that's relatively simple and make it sound, any number of ways?
Well, what I'm going to do is start with the most important effect that you own.
Gotcha. Yeah, just
That, that, and that.
yep.
The
Makes good
volume
sense.
control, if you look at this ancient guitar, I have a large black circle around it. That's because that, doing this backwards, that is my best tone control. That is best my varying for just about every effect that I play through that has any kind of overdrive or distortion. And then tone control, of course, can really change all of that too. And pickup selector. So I always teach my students that learn the instrument before you start plugging into everything else. And despite what it may say on the box, you can't plug in this box and sound just like Jimi Hendrix. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
You can't buy the Jimi Hendrix overdrive and plug it in and all of a sudden be playing Purple Haze. It's just, sorry, it doesn't work that way. So that's just a big clean signal, nothing on the neck pickup, bridge pickup. So I know the differences between the sound of those two. Now I'm running through what's called a DAW, a digital audio workstation, which is what I record through. And I'm using a what's called a plug-in that simulates digitally just about every amplifier ever made. And I'm going to go over and go to something. Let's get something nasty here.
So just to get to a quick recap, folks, your dials here, right? Switching pickups, learning your instrument is vital, and we all experience that, especially if we plug in or something. Gary, maybe we can come back later at another time and do an acoustic thing too. Be kind of fun, because when we don't have all this stuff available to us,
but you have just as many things on an acoustic guitar to learn.
Yeah.
And most of it, I would say a large percentage of it, is where you play on the acoustic guitar. But that's another sermon. We'll get to that.